The views and opinions expressed by the hosts do not state or reflect those of the company and its management. Any assumptions, views, and insinuations made by the hosts or guests do not reflect those of the show, the management, and the network. Listener discretion is advised.
Warning. This podcast contains spoilers.
Third World Cinema Club.
This theater is equipped with signal jammers to prevent cell phone interference with the theater's sound and communications equipment. We urge you to switch off your cell phones to prevent battery drain and other accidental sound emissions.
Welcome, everybody, to Third World Cinema Club. I'm John Tawasil from Present Confusion.
I'm DJ Ramonas from ReverseDelay.net.
I am Princess Kinok of Film Police Reviews.
I am Jim of Jimilicula at Iba Pa.
Hello, I'm Engelbert Rafferty of Film Police Reviews.
Louis Baharom of Cinephilia.ph.
Ayan. So, yung Fatigued, ako, sa tingin, yung pinanood ko siya twice, yung aesthetic niya closely, actually, parang ginaya talaga niya. Ginagaya niya yung style ng mga visual novels. Do you know what visual novels are?
Hindi po.
Para sila isa type of video. Yeah, it's a subgenre of video game na ganun. Parang choose your own adventure tapos may text.
Okay.
So, I think visual novels originated in Japan. So, I think doon kinukuha ni James May yung aesthetic inspiration niya for the film. And agree nga ako sa sinabi niyo before, as well as, hindi ba parang dinevelop niya yun for, parang may narinig ako sinabi niya na he wanted to capture yung anxieties natin during the pandemic. Kaya niya ginawa yun. Although hindi ko alam kung saan niya nakuha yung Japan footage. Siguro mga leftover footage niya from something yan.
Oo, parang feeling ko last year niya pa to ginagawa.
Okay.
Tapos naging ano na lang. Kasi
parang inadapt niya to ano.
Parang may Japan trip siya. Tapos yun.
Doon niya kinuha yung footage. Well, sa akin kasi, yun nga, like I said, I watched this twice. The first time, sinunod ko lahat ng instructions. The second time, wala akong ginawa. As in, pinanood ko lang siya na wala akong ginagawa. So, it reminded me a lot of a particular visual novel na, ako ko kung alam niyo yun, it's called Doki Doki Literature Club. Basta long story short, hindi ko na I won't go into specifics sa Doki Doki. There's a part doon na the game is trying to force you to a certain path. And I thought about that while I was watching this film. And to me, during the pandemic, na ganito na wala kang control over your own life. Parang ganun sa akin yung dating ng Fatigue. In that the film is pretending to give you a choice. It's pretending to give you a choice in that, sige, huminga ka ng 3 times, pumunta ka na dito, pumikit ka. But things will, pero hindi naman mababasa ng pelikula yun eh. It will do whatever it wants to do regardless of what you do. Although, interactivity itself is part of the, part of how the film operates. Na yung dating niya sa akin is, sa pagod mong ito, there are events that happen beyond your control and there's nothing you can do about it. Na doon lumabas yung pagka-helplessness mo na I think perfectly na-capture niya yung pagka-helpless natin in the time of this pandemic. So, very interesting use of form eh. Doon lumalabas yung pagka-experimental ni James Mayo. Ganun yung mga iba niyang pelikula din eh. Natuwa ako dito. I mean, I like it. Out of the new films that came out for this festival. Kaya, parang in a metafictional way, gumagana siya eh. Ano yan, Rafi?
Just to add, hindi siguro just to give people some context on what DDLC is. So, Doki Doki Literature Club kasi starts off as a dating sim wherein you, as the player, the character, would be given choices to date 3 women in particular in the story. And then all of a sudden it leads you to a direction wherein you don't expect, to happen.
Yes.
Tapos, all of a sudden it becomes a sort of like a horror,
Naging horror
story.
siya.
That's how I would.
And there's some parts in DDLC na talagang parang it's trying to lead you down a certain path. 'Di ba? In favor of a certain character, quote unquote, a certain character. So yun yung parang even though you're given a choice, you're still being parang it's an illusion of choice na you're still being led down this particular path that the game wants you to go through. That's what I found very refreshing about this film. Any other thoughts about Fatigue from you guys before we move on to the next film?
May sinasuggest naman siya na pwede natin gawin.
Yeah.
Think happy thoughts daw. Think, remember your happy memories.
Yes.
Hindi ko alam kung gaano ka-effective, pero...
Nasa sa inyo yun What if you don't have happy memories or what if you don't want to remember them?
True.
Sa mga hindi pa nakakanood, tas may planong mapanood to, or if ever magkaroon na extended screening si Cinemalaya, parang same universe tong si Fatigue, Excuse Me, Miss, tsaka si Octagon. So yun lang. Parang ganun. Same
Totoo
sila
ba?
ng universe.
As in same cinematic universe sila?
Hindi, lang. Parang sa...
thematically similar sila.
Oo. Yung politics na tinatry nilang i-explore. Kasi, yun, di ba parang if healthcare worker ka or overworked employee ka, tapos wala ka talagang choice at all kung ano yung kailangan mong gawin.
Yung isa nagpo-photoshop ng katawan sa Instagram charot. Nagpo-photoshop ng katawan sa Instagram yung isa
yung isa naman nagiging kamukha na niya yung boss niya, di ba?
Ganun.
So yun.
Yung
Anyway.
Pagod na ako cinematic universe.
Pagod na ako. Shit, pagod na ako cinematic universe.
Yes.
Ayan. Let's move on to Tokwifi. So, Tokwifi is a film directed by Carla Pulido Ocampo. And its synopsis is a 1950s mestiza star trapped inside a television that falls from the sky in a meteor. She meets a Igorot man named Limayog, and they try to connect with each other. So yun. Jim, what did you think about Tokwifi? Hindi pala Tok-Wi-Fi. Hindi siya tokhangan sa Wi-Fi. So Jim, your thoughts please.
Marami akong nababasa sa pelikula kasi una ay yung TV, and then kasi yung setting niya ay 50s din.
Mm-hmm.
So dito sa Tokwifi, ang una kong basa ay hindi lang yung kasi may language barrier yung mestiza movie star and then si Limayu. During the 50s kasi dito sa Philippines, bago pa lang yung TV. Hindi pa siya yung ganun ka popular. And during that time, marami pa tayong nagagawang pelikula up to the 80s, and we're considered the third country na maraming ginagawang films in a year. So another na reading ko doon ay kasi di ba na-stuck yung movie star doon sa TV na parang sabi ko parang may pagka-Cronenberg ito. Yung nga nag-uusap kami doon sa chat ni Louie na parang Cronenberg done in a right way.
Para siyang Videodrome, ganun.
Oo, ganun na nakasta kasi dun sa TV, di ba?
Yun yung pinaka-motif niya. No?
Tapos, hindi lang barrier ang connection because of TV. Tapos 50s ang Amelu. Kasama na din dun yung traditional culture, di ba? And kung during the 50s, kung mapapansin mo in the Philippine cinema, pina-follow niya yung studio system. Kaya di ba yung pag nakita mo on how yung dialogue nung mestiza actress, sabi ni Direk, ganito, mag-kiss tayo, ganyan. Kasi it was, para bang it defines yung era nila na wala pa yung collaborative work with the actors or actresses. Kasi nagkaroon lang naman ng tawag dito, freedom or collaborative work during the 60s na kaya na ng actors to produce his or her own film. Ganon. And just like what Ses said, 'di ba? Mag-agree din ako doon na parang it subdue the the boundary of love. Tama ba ako, Ses? Yung pagkakasabi mo
Subdue the boundary of love. Ano ibig sabihin?
Tama ba? Tama ba, Ses? Yung sabi mo nung... Sorry!
Paano may sasubdue yung boundary ng love?
Sorry!
Taser mo ba? Ganun.
Hindi, sinabi si Ses na nagustuhan ko.
Hindi, Ses, ano yung sinabi mo?
Subdue niya yung limitations ng...
Ayun, sorry naman, yun.
Sinasubdue niya yung limitations ng? You're trying to put down or you're trying to subjugate, control?
Parang you're trying to end.
You're trying to end
or
the limitations. You're trying to cross boundaries.
Fade.
I think that's what you mean.
Going back with Talk with Fee, may attempt din kasi siya na bumalikwas sa conservatism during the 50s. Kasi di ba nung 50s, nandun yung binavalue natin yung family. Kaya di ba more on the 50s, makikita mo yung mga movies, ganun eh. Even yung mga Douglas Sirk films, nandun yung pagiging conservative, which kung aanihin ko siya, titingnan ko siya with other films like Far From Heaven. Yun yung nakikita ko nun kay Julianne Moore, ganon. So, may part kasi dun sa Talk with Fee na biglang parang nawawala yung signal ng TV and then mayroong commercial na parang liberating or something na medyo sensual si actress played by
commercial niya.
Adrian Vergara na during that time that's very scandalous, 'di ba? So binabalikwas niya yung conservatism nung during its time, ganun. Yun. And then nandun yung insert din ng feminism kasi with Talk with Fee, mas nakikita natin na mas na-express nung character ni Adrian Vergara yung gusto niyang gawin later on.
Yeah.
Diba? Yun. Although yun nga, yung mas doon is yung language barrier nila. Kasi di ba yung parang di sila nagkakaintindihan, ganyan. Kasi itong si Limayog, isa katutubo, and then Tagalog, yung salita naman ni Adrian Vergara's character. Ganun. And at the end, parang ang nasa isip ko nun, is it imagination lang ba to nung Nilimayo? Kasi di ba tumanda na siya? Yung pagkakita niya dun sa TV? Or is it true? Ganun. Yun yung magandang nung filmmaker. Kasi parang paiisipin ka niya kung other than the imagination was, yung paiisipin ka niya na totoo ba? Or imagination lang lahat? Ganon.
Anyone else? What were your thoughts on Talk with Fee?
Sige, share ko lang. Hindi, naisip ko lang kasi na with all that Kuya Jim said, which is, very, very totoo naman about Talk with Fee. I mean, a lot of people definitely love it. I myself love it. Gusto ko lang din i-mention na I noticed that there were inserts of colonialism tackled by the film. There was one, speaking of commercials, there was one particular commercial, diba, doon sa, I think it was the second commercial, wherein pinapakita na parang turn your mountainous hair into civilized Kemerut, diba? So, parang it's trying to point out that there is going to be change, and change is something that will be constant in the world, and that there's a possibility that technology and everything that came from the West, because filming and media is technically a Western concept that was derived in the Philippines. And the fact that it's brought into this tribal and indigenous community that is used and is more familiar with traditional sensibilities and with the ideals of folklore. And so parang it's trying to say na these two cultures, these two ideals will clash and will meet. And it's up to the two characters, to Laura Blancaflor and to Limayog, to meld it and possibly, yun nga, tulad ng sinabi nga ni Ate Ses and ni Kuya Jim kanina, to subdue it and cross it until you reach the halfway point or the rendezvous point wherein everyone coexists together peacefully.
To add lang din, ano pala yun, the film itself, kasi may nagsabi, or I think there's this differing opinion na it's parang magulo daw yung line kung bakit siya magkasama yung dalawang characters.
Mhm.
For me, yun nga, yung so it subdues the limitations of these two different worlds ng new and old and man and woman. So, magandang interpretation siya na similar dun sa points na ni-raise ni Jim and ni Rafi.
Mhm.
To add lang din, gusto ko rin yung symbolism niya na isa siyang star na palaos. I think parang gano'n na, parang falling star.
A
Palaos na
fading
siya.
50 star. Yeah.
Yes, so she's trying her best to please everybody. Si Direk, di ba, pati yung audience na kailangan pumayat siya kasi may commercial doon, spoiler alert, na kailangan niya pumayat. So everything else, similar. Tsaka clarification pala, bontox pala sila.
Mga
So
bontok.
somebody on Letterboxd, corrected my review. Kasi sabi ko din, akala ko rin igurot, pero oo nga, bontox. Kasi,
Bontok siya. Okay.
Yes,
We
bontok siya
stand
kasi
corrected.
we need to be corrected kasi baka man persona non grata tayo pag sinabi.
Hindi tayo
Siguro.
makakapunta sa sorry na po.
Kung may access tayo, pupunta pa naman sana tayo ng Mountain Province. Joke lang. Pero yun.
I-synthesize ko lang yung mga sinabi nyo na I think yung opinion ko on this film is parang sama-sama ng mga opinion nyo. Although, nagustuhan ko yung angle ni Jim that yung about kay Laura. So, I agree with Rafi na this film parang is a challenge to the parang Western colonial stereotypes in media because Western media frames the indigenous man as a savage and Western media frames the woman as this parang dapat ganito lang ang itsura mo, dapat ganito lang yung actions mo, and dapat ganito lang yung asta mo in life. And these two parang marginalized figures, basta anything that's not a white or a straight male, they are being pushed into this category which is wrong or which is not accurate to what they really are. Kasi number one, Limayog shows them that they're a very rich culture. They have folklore. Kaya may legend about Tokwifi, about meteors. They have created amazing feats of engineering in the rice terraces. And also, their conception of love is very different from that of us, of yung tayong lumaki under this colonialist mindset. There's one part in the film na yung kakamit lang ng dalawa, tapos sinasabi ni Laura, hindi ba, parang sabi sa script, kiss tayo dapat, kiss tayo. Pero ayaw na ni Limayog because that's not how Bontox or yung tribe nila, that's not how they express affection. They express affection very differently. Hindi sila ma-PDE na tao, hindi sila ma-kiss-kiss. Also, yung the motif of the TV is also like a cage. Para siyang something that restricts the freedom of Laura's character. Because literally nakakahon siya. She's being trapped in that space na yung kagaya nga na sinasabi niya, she should act a certain way, she should parang direct, ganito. Na-interesting nga na tying to Jim's idea sa studio system. The studio system forces actresses to act a certain way na baka hindi tugma sa totoo nilang pagkatao. Which is another way of looking at it. Pero generally, tropes about women in media in general. So these are two people that are being judged or being constrained unfairly by mindsets made by the colonizer. And the film tells us it doesn't always have to be that way. And this film in itself is a way of telling those indigenous stories. When Limayog shows Laura the rice terraces, something that na hindi magawa-gawa na mga Westerners in their wildest dreams, hindi nila magagawa yan. A feat of engineering that's very advanced and very sophisticated. Makikita mo na that's the only time in the film na nakalaya si Laura dun sa TV niya. Literally, nawala yung kanyang restrictions. So the film is telling us in a way na we don't have to limit ourselves with the limited, Western mindset. We can, through the stories of these indigenous peoples, there's freedom, there's liberation. There are new avenues to discover, which is a very poignant and hopeful thing. And that's why I thought this film really deserved best film sa Cinemalaya 2020. So, yun. Does anyone have any additional thoughts on this, on Tokwifi?
Ako ulit, kasi di ba during the 50s, if you will observe yung mga depiction ng women, usually prim and proper sila. Kaya di ba, if you will observe, di ba, yun yung ini-emulate ng character ni Laura, played by Adrienne Vergara. And at the same time, during the 50s, nagkakaroon ng sexual revolution, di ba? So
it's the start,
Yeah, it's the start of the sexual revolution with the help of Alfred Kinsey. So dito nakikita mo rin siya doon sa movie, di ba? And I agree with you as well with the other reading na yung TV kasi serves as a cage doon sa kay Laura. Kasi di ba nung 50s, pag nasa studio system ka, you need to maintain a reputation. Ganon. Binavalue yung image ng isang artista or celebrity. Di ba? Unlike ngayon, mas na tayo, mas malaya na unlike noon. Ayun. At saka nga pala, si Kurt, yung gumanap na Limayog, siya yung nasa Tanabata's Wife. If you will remember.
That's nice. Oh,
siya yung kalab triangle ni May Panglayan.
Siya si Tanabata's wife's husband. Parang ganun. Tanabata's wife boyfriend pala.
Tanabata's wife boyfriend.
Tanabata's wife's boyfriend.
Itong Tokwifi was screened in Q-Cinema, right? Q-Cinema last year.
Yes. So, punta tayo sa next film, King Lalam Ning Aldo, or Under the Sun. Under the Sun is about gay Sampaguita farmer who decides to renovate their neglected kitchen as soon as he hears from a friend na his son, who I think is working abroad, is finally coming home. So, sige, Rafi, your thoughts about Under the Sun or King Lalam Ning Aldo?
Ayun. Very similar yung thoughts ko with King Lalam Ning Aldo sa Ang Gasgas na Plaka ni Lolo Bert. The one thing that I have to mention about Under the Sun is that it's a very olfactory film. Kasi the way it plays out, and it was very short, I think it's just like 11 minutes, but every time you watch it, there's a sensation wherein you'd want to smell, what you see on the film, like the Sampaguita fields, yung simoy ng hangin sa probinsya, the whole fields where the main character lives in, gusto mo siyang amuyin. And even yung ulam towards the end, kahit konti lang talaga siya.
Konti lang talaga yung ulam. Masyadong nasampulan na nung mga bata.
Oo, tapos yung manok na palitan ng itlog.
Oo. Naggulat sa budget. Charot! But of course, with what I've understood about the film, I just really want to highlight, number one, the acting of the two main characters, which is si Budang and Georgia. They captured the essence of, not really being of course, number one, being a woman, but more importantly, being a mother. Yun. In my opinion, very different yung pelikula because it only played out very, very small instances of explaining what's going on, understanding kung bakit kinailangan umalis ni Janjan, the kid, the implied kid in the film. Mm-hmm. And another thing that I also want to highlight, the second thing that I want to highlight is yung internal struggle ni Budang sa film. Kasi it shows there na even though she's, well, in a way, transgender because of her, her chosen beliefs and aspirations in life, the way she says it, it's like there are so many challenges and so many obstructions that are, on her way. And for some reason, she feels like with these things that are in front of her, whatever she does, it's not enough. Yung pagtanim niya ng buong Sampaguita field para mapagpundar yung possibly yung pag-aaral or yung pag-abroad ni Janjan. Kumbaga, very big yung struggle niya internally. And it was conveyed not to perfection, but to such emotional restraint by whoever Budang is. I forgot what the name of the actor is, but very impressive yung the way na he delivered it. Overall, with King Lalaming Alto, it definitely wants to say that true love is not just about, finding a partner and, becoming one with your biological sexuality, but it's being able to cross any boundaries despite your gender, despite your state in life, despite your age, or despite the time frame where you live in. So, napakaswerte ni Janjan at he was given such a strong and such a well-built parent, in the form of Budang.
Okay.
Yun.
Anyone else have any other thoughts about Under the Sun?
I agree dun sa olfactory part. Parang ang gandang description nga niya kasi ganun din yung basa ko dun sa film. From the beginning till the end, kahit na hindi mo nalalasahan yung tinola, pero the way that they describe it, na i-imagine mo kung paano nila maluluto or paano yung style ng yung lasa niya. Same with dun sa Sampaguita Fields. Alam mo yun, there are a lot of films that they try to place yung location and yung situation by saying it in the dialogue. Dito, hindi siya halata. Parang nadadraw in ka na, okay, siya pala yung nagtanim niyan, isa pala siyang buting tao, ganyan-ganyan. Yun. Tapos, ang name ni Georgia in real life is si Playka. Di ba? Si Budang and Playka. So, gusto ko rin i-commend si Playka. Parang marami siyang kamukhang best friend na bading, pero dito medyo nag-stand out siya kasi hindi corny yung the way ng pag-support niya kay Budang. Parang sa lahat ng entries ng short, ito yung medyo light-hearted, pero at the same time, ito yung papatawarin ko na, okay, buti may ganito kasi otherwise, siguro sobrang bigat ng entries. Hindi mo siya masyado.
Ayoko na naman ng sobrang dark na Cinemalaya.
Oo, ganun. Parang ito, at least ito, siya, tsaka napansin niyo ba, yung color niya, yung tone niya, para siyang coming of age film, pero imbes na coming of age, ito, parang settling down from, going into old age, parang ganun yung feel niya na.
It's a very warm film, no?
Yeah, very warm.
Mamo
Parang,
na.
Oo, para siyang Mamo pero lighter.
Yeah.
Lighter pa, gano'n.
Dualas. Yun, comment lang din sa visuals niya.
Yeah.
Very pleasant to look at. Pero may, parang pet peeve ko lang yata yun. Pero may tendency sila to use yung dolly shots, yung gumagalaw yung camera slowly towards the subject. Maganda siya, maganda yung effect na yun. Kaya lang overused, I think. Parang ginamit nila in too many shots short film.
Pero na-miss ko yung dolly shots. Parang lately kasi laging yung dogma shaky yung peg ng mga tao. Parang dito ang ganda na ginamit nila yung dolly, especially dun sa owner na parang eto na yung Ferrari ko, sabi niya gano'n, di ba? Tapos yung Ferrari niya is hindi pala Ferrari. Yun.
It's a film that evokes parang nostalgia for a life na hindi mo pa or for your own past life, yung before all of this happened. Yung parang nasa bahay ka, nagluluto si nanay ng ng meal para sa'yo. May ganun siyang ini-evoke na feeling eh. Na-agree ako kay Rafi na it evokes smells. Kaya medyo olfactory yung parang yung sensory parang suggestion niya sa'yo. Ayun lang. Nakaka-miss siya. Tapos para siya sa mga taong hindi pa nakaka-uwi or hindi maka-uwi. Na sana makauwi na sila. So, dito muna.
This show is produced by Cutprint Podcast Network. Executive Producer Patsy Ferrer. Head of Business Development KL Carpio. Creative Director Christine Alido. Podcast and Social Media Manager Nia Escondo. Sound Engineer Erica Santo Tomas. To advertise, email us at podcast@cutprintproductions.com.
Third World Cinema Club.